Hello and welcome to the Watering Hole. Thanks for checking out this clip. Don't forget to like and subscribe because that'll make the baby Jesus cry, and I know how much you guys love making the baby Jesus cry. So Biden considers major Supreme Court reform.
Again?
Well, I mean, this is like from last week, I think. I know there have been updates since then, but he actually seems to be putting the wheels in motion to actually do it, as opposed to just making it a talking point that, like, hey, if you vote for Kamala, she'll do this. Which I think that's actually a very smart move, because that, like, one of the biggest criticisms against Biden is that he kept on, like, dangling things, or like, oh, if you vote for me, I might do this after the election. I might do the thing you want. So
this actually reminds me of something. Unironically, at the card shop, there were a couple of new people who came in, older gentlemen, like age 60, 65 or so, played Magic 30 years ago and just started playing again recently. And they were talking politics at the card shop, which normally is a thing you don't do because, you know, you're out in the middle of public in Georgia, maybe don't. But one of the older guys there, actually, when one of the guys was going on about how this isn't how democracy works, Kamala Harris shouldn't be the nominee, even though she hasn't been nominated yet. But one of the other guys was saying, like, hey, did you see Biden's speech? So remember how you and I, when we watched the speech, we came away going, well, it was kind of lukewarm, nothing really unexpected. So I got an idea of what some like older people, not older people on Twitter, but older people that are just, you know, normies around town, were getting from that speech. And he said, I think it was beautiful. His exact words were, I think it was beautifully said. I think it shows exactly how unselfish this man is, because he was willing to do this. It's very, very rare to find a president who's willing to just give that power up, even the chance at that power, and just give it up.
Yeah, so sorry. Yeah, no, I agree. I think we might have been a little bit harsh on him last week. Not necessarily harsh, but just like jaded, I guess.
I think it's because we're both really plugged into this stuff.
Yeah, so like it didn't really hit us just how unprecedented that was. Because like he's literally the most powerful man on the planet, and he's voluntarily stepping aside from a chance to be that for another 4 years.
Yeah.
In order to, you know, like, so yeah, it actually, like I have said on this show, you can go back and watch if you don't believe me. I like, this isn't just me being like, oh yeah, he did the selfless thing, so I'm gonna do, because I saw a lot of accusations of this flying around as well. It was like, oh yeah, now everybody's talking good about Biden and all the good stuff that he's done now that he's stepping aside. And it's like, no, I have always, well, maybe not always, but like I have gone on record on this show in the past saying that, like, no, Biden is actually the most progressive president that the United States has ever had. It's arguable, like, if you go back to like the New Deal of the Great Depression, maybe like an argument could be made there, but like that wasn't pushing LGBTQ rights forward at all. Like, yeah, it was progressive in the sense that it's like social safety net sort of stuff.
Yeah, it's a different kind of progressivism, but it's still, so it's like economic progressivism is still progressivism, even though like most of the time we focus on social.
Yeah, and so yeah, he is like, and yeah, he's not perfect. He's a lot more milquetoast than I would like, than a lot of the progressives would like. But you got to remember that they like, and this is part of the downside of having a two-party system is that the progressives do have to align themselves with the centrists. Like, the majority of the country are not as progressive as the progressive wing as the Democratic Party. That's just a fact of America. Now, it's also a fact of America that the vast majority of the country is way more progressive than the Republicans. And that shows by the fact that every election where there's high voter turnout, the Republicans lose.
It's one of the reasons why Republicans tend to do a lot of, let's redraw the districts here.
Yep. Let's redraw the districts. Let's make it illegal to pass out water to people that are waiting to vote.
Let's change your voting location.
Let's make it harder to vote by mail.
Yeah, like a lot of that stuff is. Have you? I know that this matters more to me because I'm in Georgia, but you've looked at the history of Brian Kemp with this stuff at some point, I'm assuming.
Probably.
Okay, he's our big wig here in Georgia.
Yeah,
but there's a lot of information on ways that he has tried to make it always ends up being majority black populations unable to vote as easily, and it's. God, Kemp rubs me the wrong way a lot. He really does.
Yeah.
But
and he's partially responsible for saving democracy. Because he said no when Trump said, find me more votes.
Yeah. That's at least there is that. There is a certain level of integrity there.
Yeah.
Though I did, when I passed by his office in the Capitol building, I did have that that feeling in my
walk
spine
past with the middle finger up.
Yeah, it's like, this is not where I want to be next to where you are, but it is what it is.
Yeah. So one of the criticisms against Biden is that like in the election he would like dangle things, like dangle promises and then not necessarily fulfill them. Now, to be fair, he did do a lot that he did promise to do that was then blocked by the Supreme Court. So there are a lot of his promises that you might count as unfulfilled, that the reason they're unfulfilled is because of Donald Trump.
Yeah,
so,
and there's a lot of stuff that didn't get the press coverage that it really needed. Like the railway union stuff with Biden, I know that he got a lot of negative press for, and even I wasn't a super big fan because it looked like he basically prevented the unions from striking. And then as more information came out about it, it turns out that actually may have been better for the unions in the long run. But at the same time, that follow-up information wasn't really focused on a lot. Just like with Biden versus Trump, a lot of the focus ended up being on criticizing Biden for his performance, which was bad, obviously. But it does seem like big media in general tends to focus more on Biden's gaffes than it does on, say, Trump's gaffes. Like you've pointed this out before.
Oh, that's going to be a big topic later on this very stream.
Yeah.
Not with reference to Biden, but yeah.
Ugh.
So, yeah. So with regards to this, so he's considering backing a host of... Oh, what's that? Oh, God damn it. I just took the hat off.
Hat's off to you.
Fuck. So Biden is considering backing a host of reforms for the U.S. Supreme Court, including ending lifetime appointments. Now, he posted a thing since this article went up that actually outlined more specifically what he wants. I forget exactly what it was, but it was like limiting their... like having term limits, having an ethics code that is actually enforceable. He's also pushing for a constitutional amendment, which that's not going to happen.
No, very likely not.
However, like this could be, depending on how much media coverage this gets, that could actually be a really smart way of kind of energizing the Democrat base even more than they already are, because you know that the Republicans are going to block any constitutional amendment proposed by a Democrat, no matter how reasonable it is, just by basis of the fact that it was proposed by a Democrat. So if all the Democrats get out there and vote and you get a supermajority, then that it could actually pass.
I would hope so, because you need a supermajority not just to have more than the Republicans, but you need more people that are going to be able to overpower whatever. Like, well, no, because doesn't a constitutional amendment require a supermajority? Oh, it requires a supermajority. What I'm saying is you can't just have a supermajority of Democrats. You have to have a supermajority of votes, and that means you have to be able to get people who are not like
Joe Manchin and Christian Sinema.
Joe Manchin, Sinema, these are the people who are they usually end up voting. If you can get them to vote on the party line, it's very, very hard to.
Yeah, Lord of Us Collects has 18-year terms. Yes, so after presidential appointment, they get 18 years, and then that way, I don't know how it would be dealt with the court that's already there, but like if you assume it starts fresh or whatever, then the way that works out is that every presidential term gets 2 appointments. And I really like that and how it works, because then like every president gets 2 appointments. I hope that there would be some provision to stop Mitch McConnell from, or a future Mitch McConnell from just putting it on the table and waiting till the next guy and letting him get 4.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, 18-year term limits. Every president gets 2. I think that's a great idea.
It's definitely a better system than what we have right now, where you get the current system right now. Obviously, any system we have is going to be flawed, but the current system right now, let Ruth Bader Ginsburg sit in her chair for as long as humanly possible, and then it let Trump replace her.
Yeah.
Like, and she's arguably one of the most famous Supreme Court justices that we've ever had. She's the one that, like, even if Rick and Morty even did a bit on her where they literally just called her that Supreme Court justice lady, but that's all you needed to know exactly who it was talking about. Like,
yeah,
it's losing her sucked because it made her legacy look like one of selfishness. I remember when Biden said he was stepping down, there was a lot of talk on Twitter about how this automatically makes him better than Ruth solely because he was willing to step down instead of try to hold on to that seat for as long as possible. And I don't think they're super comparable, but I don't
like, she got a lot of criticism for that after she died. But what happened was, like, yeah, she could have retired during the first few years of Obama's presidency. But like, she had no way of knowing that Trump was going to happen after that. And like, as far as you know, at the time, like, politics are going to continue on pretty much as per normal. So she could have very well intended on retiring during Obama's administration, but then she saw what Mitch McConnell was doing and knew that if she retired when the Republicans had control of the House, that Obama wouldn't get his pick in.
He would have just stonewalled 2 picks.
And so her thought was to, like, I'm not saying this is what she actually thought, but like, I've seen analysts say that this could have definitely been something that she considered, is that, like, if I wait till after the election, then, like, you know, if a Democrat wins, then it doesn't matter. And once the Trump thing became apparent, it's like, okay, well, then I need to hold on for dear life. And unfortunately, she didn't make it. But like, that's one of those, like, you can't see the future. You don't know in the first 2 years of an 8-year presidency that at the end of the 8-year, you should have retired in the first 2 to save democracy. Like, she had no way of knowing that is what would be on the line. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. I just think that she takes a lot of posthumous criticism that is not necessarily warranted.
Yeah, that's why I said that they aren't necessarily the most comparable situations as well, because there's a lot of factors that you have to look at. Like you were mentioning, we had already seen McConnell do the stonewalling. With Biden, he got to see a direct result of his own actions and rhetoric and was able to go, well, on top of all that, I got COVID. Maybe bowing out is probably the right move.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, that's don't really need to go through the article. We kind of hit the major talking points.